Hey, I'm Matt Geller. Welcome to the BFT Podcast. I've been in the industry for quite a long time. We work with over 2,500 food trucks nationally, actively, and we have over 5,000 food trucks on our platform, which we funnel great events to. We created BFT just as a tool, but we thought with this tool, it would be helpful to have some information to be able to use the tool and also to navigate the food truck industry in an educated and easy way. I'm excited to share some of the things that I've learned over 15 years, but really to invite some of the people that I've worked with over 15 years and have them share their experiences as well. With me today, I've got one of my friends and associates over the last 14, 15 years, BJ Lofback from Nashville, Tennessee. BJ, thank you so much for joining me. I'm excited to have this conversation with you, and I'm excited to get back to Nashville soon.
Yeah, man. It's kind of cool that we get to have this conversation because over the years, you and I have had just like these banger conversations and some just absolute gold has taken place. So who knows, there might be something interesting for people to hear.
The reasons we started this was to share real keys to success for anyone looking to launch a food truck, to help food trucks that have already launched a food truck navigate some of the issues that they face. And then, I know there's a lot of people out there interested in the food truck business as spectators. And so I wanted to give them a little bit of a look into what food trucks deal with. I think a lot of people, especially when they say, hey, can you send me a food truck? We've got 10 people. They're going to do great, So it's good to sometimes reach out to customers in these types of ways as well, so they understand the trials and tribulations of a food truck owner.
Absolutely.
With this particular conversation that we're going to have is you occupy a few different roles. Similar to what I did in Southern California, where we started the SoCal Mobile Food Vendors Association, you started the Nashville Food Truck Association. So you're coming at it from that perspective. And then you also help and create and organize events. And I believe you've had 4 different food truck brands. So you operate in even more sectors of the industry than I do because you manage locations. You have started a food truck association, advocated for the rights of mobile vendors. You have your own food trucks. If you just tell us a little bit about the food trucks you started and just a little bit about your journey getting into the industry and where it took you in the various ways it took you there.
Yeah, I'm really one of, when you say OG, it's funny. The OGs are to me, that's sacred ground. I mean, I would not be in the food truck business today if it weren't for being able to read about probably everyone's luminary, Roy Choi. The genius that it was to take the taco truck model and take another cuisine and use the advent of Twitter. People were still discovering this. It was organic and it was real and it was how people connected. So smart businesses like a food truck would be able to connect with an audience that, hey, we're doing this exciting thing and we're here. People would flock to that. I do Korean food. This may freak you all out, but I'm not Korean. Not at all. Not even in the least. But I love Korean food and I love Korean people. It's all the qualification I felt I needed in order to make Korean food. The exciting food that was coming in, back when the word fusion wasn't so ick. Roy Choi did it in a way that made an entire nation of cooks who couldn't afford or really had the desire to be in a restaurant. But here was this way we could do something cool. Because let's face it, putting a kitchen in the back of a truck, likely a truck that wasn't brand new. You look at the Kogi barbecue trucks, they weren't the lookers, they weren't.
They were the 1982, 1982 Grumman old AA cater truck route trucks.
Exactly. So how cool is that? As it has through the years, food trucking feels like a little bit of a pirate's way of life. You roll out whatever your conquerings, you had for the day, and sometimes you won, sometimes you lost, sometimes you got your butt handed to you, but the strong survived. And it takes a strong person to be in a food truck and go into this way of life. But Roy Choi, that grandfather of this amazing thing that we call food trucks, caught my eye, and I was just like, could you imagine? I want to do that. So I started reading about this stuff and I started thinking, I wonder how much a truck costs. And I bought a truck for $6,000 in New York City, right across the Hudson in New Jersey, and flew one-way ticket to LaGuardia, was picked up by a very kind gentleman and his extremely silent girlfriend, had a harrowing ride through the city, took me into the catacombs of all these warehouse districts, and I thought, I'm either getting a truck today or I'm getting murdered. I'm not sure which. Had never driven a truck of that size before, not in any way, shape, or form. Got in the truck, thought it was sound enough. I didn't know a damn thing about trucks, about what I was doing. Got in it and drove back to Tennessee in a 2-day journey, scared to death. no idea what I was doing. And that really is going to be a running theme as I talk about the history of my life in food trucking. And I think really most people at that time were the exact same way. There was no way to Google how to build a food truck. There was no how to know about regulations. Maybe for certain cities. I mean, I know you were doing things back at that time. I had seen what the SoCal Mobile Food Vendors Association was doing, but that didn't really apply to Nashville, Tennessee. Some of it did, some of those sensibilities did, and honestly, just knowing that other people were doing that spurred me on a little bit. Long story short, I built a food truck in my driveway, knowing nothing, hoping I was right. I literally was going to Lowe's and Home Depots and talking to people that worked there who hopefully had some sort of history or maybe talked to people that knew what they were doing. I put together a truck, had hired an electrician for $800 to wire it. It had to be fixed 3 times because you don't imagine that you put equipment in the back of a truck. You didn't know at that time that this equipment is not designed to bounce around in the back of a truck. Didn't even know that trucks bounce around, and put abuse into this equipment and things. And then there I was, right in the moment when everything was going down. Food Network was taking notice of trucks. There were people who were making exciting food and had exciting ideas that were like, let's put it in a truck and do that thing. All the people that really came about at that time were chomping at the bit to find a way to show the world what they were capable of. And some really amazing businesses that exist to this day. We could go on listing, came out of Los Angeles and now are ubiquitous brands across the country, which is just an incredible
Worldwide.
thing.
Worldwide.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
yeah. When we were watching in LA as other places were blowing up, we were so lucky. Like when food truck operators wanted to launch a food truck here in LA, we literally had hundreds of trucks that were just sitting there waiting to get rented because the 2008 financial crisis killed all the building of homes. Because the building of homes had slowed down to zero, then all the route trucks that had served the people building homes, they went out of business. So they just gave their trucks back to the people that they were financed through. So when people wanted to start in LA, it was like, oh, I'll just go down to this commissary, rent a truck for $1,500 a month. The guy that I helped start the SoCal Mobile Food Vendors Association for, he didn't want to like go all in. He just rented the truck for $140 a night and just put a big banner on it. I mean, we had the infrastructure for 100 years, right? Of mobile vending. You guys had to like figure it out like literally from scratch. And it was,
Good luck.
I'm sure, very,
Yeah.
very tough. Yeah.
Good luck. And then the truck gets going, and I'll be honest with you, I had about 142 different concepts that I wanted to do. Nothing was narrowed down. I had no idea what I was doing. I cannot stress enough. And really, I don't think I figured out what I was doing for years. It got so hard that I don't know if I could have just handed someone the keys and not tried it again. I don't know if I would have stuck with it. I mean, literally, what was in my driveway, what I was building, was all of the money I had. It was success or bust. And I'm pretty sure I hit the success part a few years ago. but I battled all the way through it. Getting the truck going, and I was pretty good at marketing. So I started pushing Twitter, started hitting up food bloggers in the Nashville area and saying, hey, I'm bringing about this food truck, and here's some of the things that we're talking about doing. I ended up not being able to come down with a single concept. So I started out in a truck called Riffs Fine Street Food. Riffs just being like a guitar riff. The whole idea was, I'm just jamming. I don't know what I want to do, but I know I have a lot of ideas, and I'm just going to, every day, come see what we got. I don't know what it's going to be, but I guarantee it's going to be awesome. Thankfully, that's basically what happened. But a funny story. Truck was operational, permitted, but very limited equipment on the inside. We got a commissary kitchen. We were cooking that food, and essentially we're rolling out with hot food and serving it as it goes. We had no real cooking equipment in the truck. I get a phone call from a Food Network producer. Food trucks are hot right now. They're trying to get on this train. They're looking in other cities, trying to figure out, producer just going, oh, here's a story here, here's a story there. And they hit up Nashville. I was one of many people that were being hit up for a TV show called Eat Street. Eat Street wanted to come to Nashville and film different things. I was the third food truck to come on the Nashville food truck community. And many came immediately afterward and basically right at the same time. But this Food Network producer just, we're going to put you on Food Network. And I'm like, awesome. We haven't even done anything. How is this even possible? That's how hot food trucks were in the moment. So I just said yes to everything. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, we can do that. Yes, yes, yes. We're 2 weeks out from filming. The guy says, so we're going to record you cooking inside your truck. And I went, inside my truck, cooking? Yeah. Yeah, we can do that. What in the world do I do now? How do I cook inside my truck? I don't have anything. I ended up buying a combination flat top and char broiler. I don't recommend this. I connected a propane tank to it, ran the lines, got some help from some friends who seemed like they knew what they were talking about. Finished that. Our call time at the location we decided was 8 a.m. the next morning. It was 2:30 in the morning when I finished connecting everything, and 3 a.m. when I finally got enough gumption to put a flame to whatever was going to come out of those little jets. One of the most beautiful things I've ever seen was the perfect blue flame that lit up inside there, and we didn't die. And fired it up with very little sleep, and you can go on to Eat Street. I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere, and you can see me and the guys pretending like we knew what we were doing and becoming a food truck that day. We grew up a lot. Ever since then, it was just like a never-ending series of, yeah, we can do that. Can we do that? And doing it. And to one success or another. Really, the key is just knowing that you know what you can do and faking your way through it.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of trucks over the years, and I remember like kind of like the first group of food trucks in Los Angeles, and I called them the pioneers, and they came out with crazy new ideas, and it was all wild, and it was, kind of a pirate's life. But the thing that they rarely said was no. And to their detriment, right? Like a lot of, hey man, you can come here and feed these people. We're going to give you a bunch of free press. Okay. Hey, you can come here. I mean, the first food truck festival in Los Angeles in February 2010, 16,000 people showed up. There was like 7 food trucks. The lines were like 3 hours long. Okay, we can do it. And now it's funny because I talk to food trucks and I'll say, oh, can you do this? So a lot of that's too many people. I can't do that. Let's come on, we can do it. Like we'll work out a plan. And so we have a lot more trepidation, a lot more probably business sense in some regard. Like a lot of trucks, like, hey, I'm going to
Oh,
just
without
do
a
what I
doubt.
know. And because the guys in the beginning, they were writing the rule book.
I could go on and on about how Nashville was one of those cities where the existing restaurants were going to city leaders, because they have the Tennessee Hospitality Association and they have all this money and fixed operations that we pay property taxes. So we're going to call our politicians and we're going to get rid of these food trucks because we don't want them parking out in front of our place. But the public wanted food trucks. The existing businesses did not. So here I have my life savings in the back of the truck, and I'm watching a public that was like, "Hey, where are you going? Where are you making food? I want to come follow you." And then the politicians were like, "This is not safe. They shouldn't be there." Whatever the case may be.
Do you remember like your first paid gig as a caterer, and then your first like street space that was really wild where you really had to grind it out?
Yeah, I remember several. I mean, you got to understand this is 15 years ago. Um, I remember big moments where we almost embarrassed ourselves like crazy. The first wedding we ever did. Shocking that someone would want to do a wedding, but it was a really cool idea. This was with a restaurant family in town that owned some of the coolest and best restaurants in Nashville. One of the sons was getting married and he was a principal in the company. Really cool guy. He hired us to come in at around 10, 11 o'clock at night to serve his guests who already had dinner but would have been drinking and dancing and things, and he wanted them to get some food in their bellies before they continued partying and went home, as sort of a safety measure. And we're like, cool, done. We arrive at a prominent location down in Nashville, and we go to set up, turn on the makeshift charbroiler flat top grill, and nothing. It won't light. What in the world's going on? Did you get propane? Yeah, I got propane on Wednesday. Somehow the propane leaked out, and we had no propane. We're about to be embarrassed in front of hundreds of people. And the most amazing thing happened. The weather was starting to turn. We get a lot of thunderstorms here in Nashville. Wind starting to pick up, and pulled up the radar on the cell phone. And there's this little circle of red and green and yellow flowing up across Nashville, and went inside and said, "Hey man, sorry to bother you. Your wedding's going on. We were setting up outside, but dude, it's about to dump outside. We're thinking what we need to do is we need to come inside." We had a couple of electrical things that we could bring inside. "We don't think that your guests should be out there in this lightning and everything." He goes, "Great idea. You really can do that for us?" And I'm like, "Absolutely, we can do this for you. No problem. Above and beyond for you, my friend, because that's how we're going to take care of your guests." We pulled inside and opened up, rocked it out somehow, some way. I don't know if God really cares about a single food truck in Nashville, Tennessee, but you have a hard time convincing me that divine intervention didn't make that little tiny thunderstorm go and land in front of that location that day. It's a never-ending series of those kind of things in my mind. Overcoming massive obstacles of not having a clue on what you're doing. You know how to make good food. And that was our saving grace in most situations. Probably one of the best events that believed in food truck first was Musician's Corner. Still deals with food trucks today. One of the best parks in Nashville is Centennial Park. They bring in 4 or 5 trucks, which is now like, I think it's close to 20. I mean, it's a huge event. I remember seeing a line of 50 people outside of our truck and just feeling like, we made it. Here it is. These people have heard about us and want our food. And did we bring enough? Those were always the fears.
So BJ, I know you had a wild start, as everybody did, but now you've done it. I mean, you've done 4 brands. One of those brands is a restaurant, Pinchy's Lobster, but you're about to start your 5th brand. What are your takeaways? What are the 3 or 4 things that you're going to do differently? What can other people take away?
My previous truck was Funk Soul Brother. One of the reasons I didn't just bring back Funk Soul Brother, another brand, what I ended up doing is editing myself. Cubop is my new idea that I'm doing with my wife. My wife, Z, is actually the one who's going to run the truck. I just get to be a chef. That's one of the greatest gifts that anyone could ever give, because being a chef and being a business person is one of the hardest things to do. Finding that balance is next to impossible for someone like me. Other people find ways of doing it. I don't. She's going to be the operations, and I'll be that idea person, but one of the big keys in this is making sure you're not doing too many things, not too little. You don't want to have too simple of a menu. I always felt that if I wasn't killing myself making this food, bending over backward to make this happen, then I wasn't going to be successful. That's false thinking. That's bravado. That's ego. You do need some of that. You need to be proud of the things you do. At the end of the day, they just need to be good. They need to be solid. And I think this is where a lot of food truck people go wrong. They start off going, hey, do you know what we could do? And it's usually something very simple. Or maybe it's something nostalgic to them, but not to their potential customers. I'm making something that I know people want. Cup-style Korean barbecue is something that is quick and concise to make. It's also delicious. It's also adaptable to a more discerning customer, adaptable to dietary concerns, but it's still exciting. It's on the healthy side. It's not the same French fries, barbecue, tacos, pizza, burgers that are delicious, and there absolutely needs to be food trucks that represent those, but you better make sure you're doing those, and really anything you do in the food truck space, it needs to be something that people can't get anywhere else in any other way. It needs to be something that people are going to look for you for. So we have a few dishes that have a few adaptations. Each and every one of them are good, and they're unique enough that we will stand out. And I'm excited about Cubop.
So your first thing that you would do is just like make sure your menu is thought out, pared down, and ready to go, and everything's a all-star. What about the build out of the truck? Like, what are the things that you're looking at, when you're doing that?
When I first did my truck, I thought I can put this here and put that there, and it was spaced out. I didn't think about weight distribution in the truck. My truck leaned like like this for many years because there was so much weight on one side and not enough on the other. So you need to balance those things with flow. Flow is so important, but if you haven't worked in a restaurant, or maybe haven't thought really about how flow works inside a restaurant kitchen, how you start with something here and it goes that way, you're not crossing people over too much, you're not traveling too much. If you could stand in one space, if you watch a street food stall in another country, they stand in one place and they do everything and they barely even move, and then there you go. That's really what a food truck dish needs to be. You want it to be delicious, you want it to be exciting, but it needs to be, to some extent, fast. Not fast food, but fast. Designing the truck now is something that has to be considered in a lot of ways. So I hire someone, a great guy, David Barrow in Food Truck Concepts here in Nashville, who thinks about those things. This truck is going to be banging. It's going to be great flow. People will be in stations and they won't have to move too much. You may wait in line to place your order, but you won't wait for the food to come out.
Can you talk about how this current truck is already going to be plugged into a lot of the locations you manage, but also your journey from food truck operator to realizing that you had to be an organizer, and you had to not just be an organizer for yourself, but for the industry at large at the time?
That's one of the hardest things. You can have the best food and the best looking truck and the best brand and everything there, but where are you going to take it? A lot of people come into the food truck industry and they see these long lines at concerts, at other locations and things, and they think, man, we could do that. But they don't understand that those people that are already there, they're establishing relationships with organizers. They're there year after year. So if you're coming in and you're putting in your life savings into a truck, you need to know how you're going to have a constant stream of customers. In Nashville, you can't just park anywhere you want. So you have to look at locations and things and have the ability within yourself to cold call and go up to a brewery or a bar and say, hey, I noticed you could benefit from food sales outside. You better be able to drive around and identify those things and have food good enough that people are going to eat when they're passing by or patronizing a given establishment. It is not easy to make a living in this business without having a steady stream of customers. I had to put in a lot of effort to make sure that I was building not just an event for a given day, but one that I could go to more and more. So I kind of organically became an organizer because I would get an office building that said, yes, I want to have a food truck here. So the next question was, well, how would you like to have a food truck here every Thursday? And then I would go and say every Tuesday. So hopefully there would be enough of a rotation and I would find other great food trucks that I admired that I know would take care of the spot. They'd show up on time. They'd do good food. I kind of inadvertently became an organizer because I was establishing routes and keeping schedules and then plugging myself in a month later, 6 weeks later, 2 months later. And as that grew, we had a nice little network of office building lunches. But then you would have these major events and things. We have CMA Fest here in Nashville. We have, concerts here. There's a lot of outdoor music here in Nashville to do. So establishing a relationship with those managers and event organizers and things was vital. And making sure that they thought I was a good dude with good food made their event better. I wanted their event to look good. I wanted my truck to look good. And that's ultimately what customers want. They want an exciting bit of food they can't get somewhere else from a clean truck, something that looks professional and is a professional kitchen on wheels.
I think as organizers, one of the things that we really look for is that are you going to show up on time? Do you do a great job? Are you nice to the customers? Your service great? And we discern a lot of that just from our first conversations. But I get requests from some of my big clients that are big multinational Fortune 500 companies. And sometimes it's in a region that I'm not that thick in, like a brand new region that I've been working in. And when I send out to 30 food trucks and a food truck responds with, hey, I'm interested from, John Smith at AOL.com, I'm like, okay, let me go look up John Smith and see what I can versus the guy that says, hey, I'm this food truck. I'm amazing. This is an article about me. This is the type of work I do. And then they have this beautiful signature block with their name, their truck name, a website, a couple pictures, which I love. Which one am I going to go with? If I don't have a lot of history in a region, then I'm going to go with the guy that made it really, really easy for me. And I had to do this literally, I had 12 hours to schedule 20 trucks for the next week.
Right.
And all food paid for. Trucks were doing about 2,000 a shift, you can imagine. And the guys that got chosen for that out of the 50 guys were the guys that had the best signature blocks, great intros to their truck. And that lasted 4 months. And I kept that really short. And well, how come you won't use me? Well, it doesn't look like you put the time in even for an email. And again, a signature block, I'm not asking you to write that out every time. Just have it on your phone and on your computer. So organizers, and what I try to tell trucks, I try to tell trucks is we get a lot out of that first interaction. And then if you want to keep working with an organizer, have a great attitude. And sometimes stuff happens, we screw stuff up, they screw stuff up. The food truck today at one of my Washington, D.C. locations, awesome truck, literally known them for 15 years. Their coolant went out in their engine. We got it covered. They canceled on the system, sent out an automatic cover request. They did everything they were supposed to. They let us know exactly when it happened. Great. Am I going to stop working with them because they had a coolant leak? No way. But if I have
part of the business,
so often I have a truck that just doesn't show up to the shift, and then after the shift tells me, I couldn't make it. Am I going to work with that truck again? No way. Now that you're going to be scheduling your own truck at your own locations, you know how you work. The thing that you deal with and we deal with as well, especially in our really, really strong markets, is there's always new trucks coming into the industry. And how do you vet them in a way that doesn't open you up for risk? What I tell trucks all the time is if you're new, just know there's all these other trucks we're working with, and they're awesome. I'm middle management. So if you mess up, the client gets mad at me, but you get mad at me too. So like everybody's getting mad at me on every level. So I try to reduce risk by working with the trucks that I know knock it out of the park every time. And you're brand new. If you hit me up with like a beautiful signature block, an awesome intro, I talked to you on the phone and you're awesome, you got a great positive attitude, man, that makes me feel a whole lot better about scheduling you on a busy Thursday night. Like I just asked you about a truck the other day I'm going to start working with in Nashville, and you had nothing but positive things to say about it. Like great attitude, great family. They're so
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
We love to hear it. And there are so many trucks getting into this industry that are so positive and pumped. We had a big catering event. The truck canceled. The client took the money. And I understand things happen. And we reached out to trucks in that region. And one of the trucks responded. And this is like a $2,000 2-hour event, easy as can be. Their response was, F you.
Wow.
Because they didn't want to work with an organizer.
I completely get that. You finally break free from the working world. A lot of these people have probably had, horrible chef bosses and difficult lives in the restaurant business, but that's what they do. They make food. It takes a certain kind of person you want to do that. So you break out of that. You get inside a truck. I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to be my own boss. And immediately when you start, here's Matt Geller or BJ Lofback saying you got to do this, this, and this, and this. And if you don't do it that way, you can't work with me. And it's like, oh, well, what did I do all this for? I totally get that. It is a reality that if you do the right things and you work well with somebody like you or I, somebody's going ahead of you and doing the things that you don't have time for. All that stuff we discussed, being a chef, being a business person, fixing your truck so it doesn't have a catastrophic breakdown. You're spinning so many plates. And in the food truck business, one plate drops, and that is likely a plate that ends your day. You can't make it to an event. You can't make the money that you need to make, and you're in an absolutely horrible situation. And that situation cascades into another scenario. So you as a person, in order to protect yourself, you need to be a good person. You need to be good to the people that help you. You need to be easy to work with and go out of your way to be professional. Go out of your way to be chosen. From your concept idea to your branding to the cleanliness of your truck to your attitude when you're on site. When someone asks you to move your truck, you move your truck. It's not convenient for you. You say, yes, I'm happy to do it.
When it's another food truck, I mean, I saw the first guys that really hit the streets. We'd have a new truck, and I remember this truck came in and it's like, hey, can you just move up this much so I can get my truck in? The guy's like, no, I'm done. There was only 30 trucks at the time. That truck was done. Nobody ever invited him to another thing ever. When I say organizers, we at Best Food Trucks are an organizer that organize a lot of things, but we also empower food trucks to organize their own things, right?
Right. I'm one of them.
Yeah. So many of the things that you are going to go to in your journey through the food truck world is going to be set up by other food trucks. And it's a small community. And it's a small community that all goes back to the same commissary, or maybe 4 or 5 commissaries, and they all talk about stuff. They talk about their point of sale, they talk about clients, and they talk about other food truck operators. If somebody says, man, that new food truck, man, he's not cool, nobody's going to work with that food truck. And all you have to do is be and just understand that they're all on the same grind and they're all dealing with similar stuff that you're dealing with, and just moving your truck up this much, or not leaving your trailer and walking away from your truck when everybody's about to leave, so you've got another truck stuck, or whatever it is. If you make a food truck's night easier, they're going to make your life easier.
Yeah, a food truck will get asked from a person, hey, I want to book your truck at this event, but we also need a burger truck. And 4 burger trucks. And that guy wouldn't move his truck that one day. Another guy, wow, he really needs to get his truck to a car wash. But then there's that one dude that you always suggest. You need friends in this business. You need them at every level. You need them as your peers. You need to be a people person that is willing to make the greater good better at all times. That will get you noticed. That's got me noticed. Sometimes your food can be subpar, but if you're a good dude, you're not only going to sell to customers, but you're going to get another opportunity and another opportunity, and you should never be burning bridges. I have been yelled at before, and I didn't deserve it. Sometimes I did. I took it. I said, I'm sorry. And I still work with these people to this day. Yeah. That's how it's done.
And it's not just moving your truck. I get a lot of comments from food trucks when they first start. Well, you don't understand. I'm different. I'm the best. And I'm like, you could tell that to me all day. I want to talk to food trucks. I want to hear your story. That's what we're here for. Like my whole staff. I mean, when Josh, our catering director, first started working with us, he was just so enamored with the industry. And he's been running restaurants for years. And, he just let trucks talk to him. And I love it. But I tell new trucks, don't say that type of stuff to trucks that have been grinding it out for the last 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. You don't understand the business until you've really been in the business and really grinded it out in the business. I'm just going to end this little section on like kind of my buckets of people to be cool to. Obviously, other food trucks, just be kind to them. Dude, I need another bag of French fries. Give it to them if you can do it. Like, I need change. Give it to them if you can do it. Move up your truck. Like, do those little things. One of the things that I know a lot of the food trucks that were dual organizer / food trucks, especially in the beginning of it, if you call a food truck and say, hey, I know you're organizing this, I want to be a part of it, then, they're going to whatever. But if you're like, hey, man, I've got this great event, I think you'd be great for it. Also, I heard you doing this other event. If you could offer something to food trucks that you work with, as opposed to just asking for things from them, it goes a long way. Less about monetary. It's just like, hey, man, you're looking out for me and you're asking me to look out for you. Let's look out for each other. The last part, and the thing that is kind of overlooked, obviously I talk to John O from the Fix on Wheels all the time, and he just worked with one of the county board of supervisors, and they just loved his food, right? I mean, everybody, he's awesome. And as a result, he created this relationship with an elected official and their staff. Any chance you get to do a city event, a county event, a little city council event, a school event, these are the people that when you talk to them, they have a broad reach. So being kind to them, making a special for them, doing things that are great for them and really connecting with public officials. I mean, this is police forces, fire departments, like anybody that is serving the public in a meaningful way. When you're great to them, man, in a city, especially some of the smaller cities, word spreads fast. Oh, remember that guy? Boom, you're the guy that they call. Then all of a sudden, they need food trucks. So they go to you for your food truck and all the other food trucks. And so being kind and really, really fostering those relationships with people that serve the public goes a long, long way.
I was good to every city official that I could talk to. And for the last 8 years, I've had the ability to close down a downtown street every Thursday. So it's an event called Street Eats, and we put 15, 16 food trucks on that street and feed people from the state building, the federal building, and several local businesses. And people want to be at that event serving, and people want to be there eating as well. And I'm thrilled to be able to be the one that organizes that. In a city of 300 food trucks, how do you whittle it down to 15? It's going to be a bunch of good people that you bring in there. And even if their food isn't as great as that other guy's, if you know he's going to show up on time and he's going to do his best and he's going to have a clean truck, you're going to bring them.
What do you think your primary revenue focus is going to be for the new truck?
Number one on the list is catering. Without a doubt, catering is your best bet as a food trucker. And it's kind of a duh situation because you already know what you're going to make. One of the biggest and hardest things with a food truck is how much do I bring today? So I'm not sacrificing any food. It's great if you have a cuisine that somehow can be cooled down quickly and served the next day without any quality loss, but not everybody is like that. Getting into a catering situation where you know exactly what you're making, how much to bring, where to be, what time you're serving, that's what I find so beautiful about the BFT catering option, that the auto reply and things, so it doesn't even take your own time. Take some time to set up a really, really good menu, something that you hope customers are looking for and like. And a lot of people just need food. They need to be good food, somewhat adaptable to various dietary needs. And, you can set that up in the system so people can find those things. And all of a sudden, because your calendar is hooked in, you find this scenario, catering pops up. Oh, we got a catering on the 28th. Isn't that cool? Done. And you know what they want and how it's all going to work out. It's a beautiful thing. So catering has to be top of that list. Secondary to that are large scale events where volume is going to make you win. You want to fill in your calendar with as many of those as possible. And then you're going to look to other events like schools and things where you know there's going to be enough people there. Now you're just competing against your friends. I want the burger guy next to me that I've known for 13, 14 years. I want to know that he's trying to destroy me in sales, and I'm trying to do the same to him. And now iron sharpens iron, and our industry looks amazing in that way. You start off with almost guaranteed winners, weather depending with events and things like that, but then you fill in with neighborhoods and breweries and bars and things. That is a winning formula in any food truck business.
Yeah, and I'll talk about that. I mean, the auto apply feature, talked to Music City Brisket the other day and told him that he had the best auto apply booking rate out of anybody in the country.
Beautiful.
He had auto applied to 111 catering jobs and he'd gotten 10. So he's just getting these notifications like, hey, you've been chosen, you've been chosen, you've been chosen. And he's like, Matt, I hated having to apply and now I'm just getting these jobs. So the auto apply feature has been great for the trucks that are using it. And I agree. Like, I love sending food trucks to catering. They know exactly how much they're going to make. And we have the overage feature. Like 30% of the time, the client's like, let's just keep going. And then we have a little overage feature that sends the client like, do you agree to $25 a person? Yes, I do. Boom, they're locked in. We bill them after. We're always trying to mitigate the risk for food trucks. And we've really gone from like this thing where we're like, okay, let's just launch this new location, hope for the best. We've really gone into minimum guarantees. Offices are just coming back now. And you see the offices that really believe what they're telling us. They come to us and they're like, oh man, we got 300 people. The truck's going to do great. Can you do a minimum guarantee? Oh, I can't do that. So, and then you're like, are you sure you think this is going to work? So putting a minimum guarantee does a couple things. Obviously, it mitigates the risk for a food truck, but two, it keeps your client honest. Once we're in a location and people have online ordered, they're all getting emails every time we go. I don't have to bother the on-site contact. But until that happens and we have a little bit of a foothold, the minimum guarantee ensures they're doing their best to get the word out. I love the large scale events. But when I look at where the fees are going, it's pretty wild. I feel like it's backed off a little bit. I mean, we were seeing, I think Coachella was charging like 55%, 50 to 55% for food trucks. And then all that gets passed off to the consumer. And then the consumer's like, didn't I just eat from your truck? Like everything was 50% cheaper. And then they get upset. They don't realize that the money's going to the organizer. But I still think that events are absolutely awesome. The big thing in events is having a menu you could be rocking every 30 seconds. Like you got to get orders out every 30 seconds.
High risk, high reward.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any advice for food trucks for that first marketing push? I mean, I know we talked about if you're working with an organizer, kind of get plugged into stuff. This is the vitamin aspirin thing we talk about where I say paying an organizer $50 to go to a location is like aspirin. Like I just need it right now. But the vitamins is like posting on social media, having interactions, getting back to people via email within a couple hours, like all of those things that are the little things you do that you don't see immediate monetary benefit from. Those are the things that it's really tough to get food trucks to do. In your experience, like what would be your advice to food trucks on that first year, that marketing and that outreach?
It's a couple of different things. As a dyed-in-the-wool John O. disciple, Food Trucks Unfiltered, fantastic Facebook group. John puts out some amazing information. And one of the things that he puts out is to say, you need to be findable. Somebody Googles food truck, you want to make sure that you're in the conversation in some way. So look for Google My Business, things like that. You've got to be out there. You've got to have an active Instagram channel so the algorithm knows that you're alive. But don't just post, we're going to be at this garage sale on Saturday. Post your food. Post what you do. Post some personality. If you just have location post after location post after location post, and what I mean by a location post is just where we're going to be today. And it's all words and text. There's nothing really there. Put out a delicious photo of that burger or those tacos or whatever it is that you're known for doing. Make sure that people understand from your bio to your reels, and those things will pop up organically here and there, and someone will go, ooh, I gotta try that. Those types of things are basic. They're the vitamins, as your analogy nicely says. You want to be making sure that when someone finds you, they can know exactly what you're about and they can desire seeking you out. That's the hardest thing to do. Along with all of that, what you're seeking in that is your customer. There's the saying, the customer is always right, and they are. But what you don't take into consideration is, who is your customer? Not every person out there is your customer. So one thing that can help the health of your business and your own mental health is realizing that that guy that is complaining that, the fries were cold or whatever the case may be, and that may be true, but a lot of people are just on there just to pick you apart. It's no secret to understand what a person does when they just want to be negative all the time. At that point, that's not your customer. Find the person that loves what you do, is interested in what you do, and there's ways of doing that in social media these days. There's way to do targeted marketing posts. Find those people and make sure your followers are people that want to seek you out. And really that goes back to your concept too. Your concept needs to be something that people want to look for you for, that would drive 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes out of their way just to have your food. That's what you should be seeking in this business today, and make sure people know it. When you're putting yourself out there in your marketing push, and you need to have a marketing push. A productive food truck is doing pretty well, but how much better could they be? How much more quality of locations could they be at if they would post more often than once every 6 months, once a quarter? I've seen people don't post at all. Put some time and intention into that. And if you can't, get somebody on your business that is good at that and take the time to do that. Social media really fueled this business, and it still does today in many ways, but have a healthy attitude about it and make sure that you're telling people about what you do and why it's so amazing.
There's 16-year-olds out there that go to some restaurant with their family who take great pictures of their food. You can't be not as good as a 16-year-old. We reached out to a grilled cheese truck. We said, hey, you submitted a catering proposal. Is there any way we can get you to put pictures? And he wrote back, it's a grilled cheese. They all look the same. I'm like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
Pictures matter. They matter so much. There's a reason why all these big brands have giant budgets and have food stylists and all that. Having great pictures matters. You don't need a food stylist, but you can make it look great. You can have good lighting. Go on YouTube, look at how to take great food pics with an iPhone, and you can do it. Have a great background. It's really, really, really important that your food obviously tastes good, but it's got to look good when it's online.
And well-worded descriptions. You got to your descriptions as well. Not ham, salami, blah, blah, blah. Put some personality. What you say out the window when you're trying to sell a customer that's standing in front of your truck, it should be exactly that on the actual right underneath that beautiful mouth-watering photo that you took. That attitude of, oh, they all look the same. Well, then you're not doing it right. Do something different to make things look the way they need to look and tell people why they should be ordering it.
And don't say lettuce, say crispy lettuce. Don't say tomato, say fresh tomato. Don't say bread, say fresh baked bread. Those little things. And we see it as we send out catering opportunities to food trucks. The food trucks that have the great looking pictures with the great concise descriptions that are descriptive. Like, people are spending thousands of dollars on you. It could be 2,000, could be 1,200, whatever. But like, most of the time it's just looking at your pictures and the descriptions of your menu items that they're buying. So that's got to be perfect. I was looking at John's account. So sorry, I reference John all the time, but like, he won a bid and he lost a bid the other day. And I looked at who beat him on the bid. But our system will tell you who beat you and show you the menu that beat you. John has one of the best menus on the system. So I was like, well, who beat John? And so it's just, they didn't want a burger truck. They got something else. But on our system, you can see who wins. And most of the time, the guys that are winning always have great descriptions and great pictures. One of the things that we've tried to do at Best Food Trucks is create a system that keeps you pretty organized. You can put in your own events. You can interlock your Google Calendar. You can have auto apply. You can do all those things. But when you're thinking about like how you're staying organized, the thing that absolutely kills me, especially if it's a booked through Best Food Truck event, we send you an email, we send you a text the day before, we send you a text the day of. When I hear like, oh, I didn't put it on my calendar. I'm like, dude, I just sent you a million texts and emails letting you know that you were scheduled. What do you suggest to guys that need to stay organized, need to keep up on their emails, need to be engaged, and make sure that they don't miss their own events that they might have booked and just forgot about?
Don't be too quick about booking that neighborhood thing. Just trust the system, trust your brand, start with the big ones, the caterings, the events, and things like that, and be intentional about what you do in everything. Make sure that you're not just haphazardly, just going in and click, 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 click. I want this, I want this, I want this. And think about what your brand is and where it's going to be and how it's going to do. If you get yourself too crazy in this business, you get yourself spread too thin, it will show up in your bottom line. One of the things that John O says, one of his goals, 80% of my business I want to be catering. So set yourself up for success in that way. I am 100% a Best Food Trucks convert. I have been since all of the things that you've brought into the world, and use them. Use every tool that is at your disposal. There is some front-loaded work that's involved in that, but once you get that going, let the system work for you and make sure you're not burning the candle at both ends, you're not spinning your wheels, all the analogies that you can think about. Get out and make your money when you know you're making your money first, and then gamble on an event, then gamble on a simple location after you've nailed down those things. So if you're not getting caterings, if you're not getting into events, take the advice that we've discussed today. If you are so busy that you can't take the time to make better quality events, better business choices, better value propositions, and you're just filling a calendar, there it is right there. Don't just fill your calendar. run your business.
Yeah, and we send out a lot of $1,000 minimum guarantee events, and whatever, $1,000, but $1,000 minimum guarantee lunch event on a Tuesday is pretty awesome. And it's wild
easy.
that we'll send them.
It's fun.
We'll send them to trucks and they won't even open the email. But we send out a lot of opportunities that just don't get filled because we're busy. One of the lawyers from the SoCal Mobile Food Vendors Association said, a food truck is like a guy chopping wood. Another guy walks up and says, you can chop more wood if you sharpen that axe. And he says, sharpen this axe? I can't sharpen this axe. I got all this wood to cut. I don't have time for that. So like
wow.
The idea that, and that's, we forget to stop and go, what are the little things that I can automate or fix to make my life easier? And I think
I love that quote so much. Thankfully, we have winter here in Nashville. I try and reset every year. I try and get a new focus. And what can I do better this year that drove me so crazy last year? Just do something that makes next week better than what you faced this week, and then take that same attitude and extrapolate it out into next year. There's a way to make money in this business, and there's a way to make this business kill you. Be aware that that's the case.
Do you have a favorite feature of BFT as a truck owner and as an organizer that uses Best Food Trucks to organize things?
I absolutely love the catering feature, first of all. That was a game changer. I remember you saying, we have this idea, here's what I'm going to do, what do you think? And I'm like, wow. And I'd hoped that it would work, and it's been working wonderfully. We know all the magic there. Reply quickly and you're probably going to get picked quickly. People are trying to get food for their event and move on to other important details. The ability to schedule locations and for customers to be able to see who's going to be at those locations. If there was a way to preach that more and better from every food truck, I wish people would embrace what a system like Best Food Trucks does for the industry, for the local community, the local industry. I want one system to exist for the customer so that I can put my calendar in. I can know what I'm working at any given time. I can find new events there, utilizing the app and making a schedule happen. And it's really slowed down for me. The intensity and the rat race of it all, the rigors of food trucking really calms down because you have something that you can focus on and make money and not just spin your wheels.
Well, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to
Absolutely.
talk to me. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us, and just make sure to subscribe and follow our trucks ongoing. You can go to Instagram, Best Food Trucks USA. If you're in Tennessee, you can go to Best Food Trucks TN to follow food trucks there, and check out Best Food Trucks and the new features that we're constantly bringing you. We've got a new point of sale, which charges a whole lot less than Square now that they're up to 15 cents. If you ever have questions, Matt at Best Food Trucks. Unlike Square or any of these other groups, I'm the CEO of the company. I talk to food trucks every day. I probably have 1,000 food trucks in the country that have my phone number. They can call me. They can tell me they want features. I had a conversation just to end it off here with a food truck in Oklahoma City. And he said, hey, I want a timer on my orders on the app as they come in so I know exactly when they have to go out the window. And I was like, oh, that's a really good idea. And then we built it for him. So it's not like, I'm not Square. Like, I love ideas. And I wish I could tell you that Best Food Trucks was all my idea. But over 50% of the features came from you guys. We have features that are awesome because food trucks talk to me, or hopefully talk to me, sometimes yell at me. And when they do, we come up with some really cool stuff. If you're in Nashville, make sure and check out Cubop. That's coming out in a month?
Actually, next week.
Next week.
We're rolling out.
Check out
We have caterings. We have caterings. We keep hitting them up. So it's a pretty exciting thing. We're not going to hit the general public until probably mid-August.
And what's your Instagram?
Qbop615. The letter Q, B-O-P 615.
And definitely Thursdays, Deirdre Street Eats, 10 to 20 trucks a week. Awesome. You can find
one
it
of the coolest places to get a food truck lunch. Come on, see us.
Yeah. bestfoodtrucks.com/street eats is the schedule, and it's awesome. Thanks,
and if
everybody.
you see me, say hi.
Yeah.
Bye.